Lisbon Lion Bertie Auld joins us. Hi, Bertie.
How are you? And thank you very much. It's a great honour you've given me because the boss was very, very special. Just like your programme. You've covered every inch of it there. Tremendous.
And what made Jock Stein special, Bertie?
He himself. Because Jock, as you know, got a bad injury when he was a player. And during the time he was trying to get fit, it was very difficult, and he couldn't get himself fit enough to play. But what he did, he asked if it was at all possible for him to train the reserve team, and I was so lucky that I was in the reserves just at the start. And for someone that he was a very determined man, and I promise he didn't put up any nonsense. But the big thing about him was you had to respect him because of his knowledge in the game. And that was what Jock was. He was a magnificent coach. And if there were a better manager, I never come across him all the time I was in the game. And I respected him tremendously, and so did everyone else. We had that respect for him because I'll tell you, he never at any time tried to bring you down in front of anyone. If he had something to say to you, he'd pull you aside and say to you, listen, your attitude's a bit problem in that part. Let us. And then he was speaking about the full team that he had picked. Let us go on with it and do what we have to do. And that's the type of man he was, you know what I mean? He was a very determined man to make sure that you would train. He took the training as well at Celtic Park. And he demanded everything. And what a break it was for us, the young players, the Billy McNeils, the Mike Jacksons, the John Coleraines, and we could go on, because I'll tell you what a change in attitude. He was honestly, he was just made for a coach and manager.
Bertie.
Hello.
Bertie,
Hello.
It's Simon Donnelly here. How are you doing?
How
you doing, sir?
I'm very pleased. Well, I'll tell you, I felt great until you come on.
It's not like you. Listen, I'm missing your guy.
Simon, it's great speaking to you, honestly. I haven't seen you for a wee while.
And you, sir.
I've had this wee bit of illness, Simon, that I'm not getting out and about. But I'm in the better road, which is so important. And I look forward to meet you whenever I do.
That's good to hear. I enjoy all the stories working with you guys over the last 2 years and at the park. But can you just tell the listeners, if you can remember, what was Jock's team talk before the big one, before the European Cup? Can you remember what his advice was before you guys went onto the pitch?
No, well, no, I can't even remember exactly what it was. But the big thing about him was he was a shrewd cookie, honestly. He was when he was in the reserve coach, everybody was wondering what he was up to, and it was something different all the time. And when we went to Lisbon, and we were walking on the pitch, and Jock just says, "Now remember, be yourselves, but don't overdo it." Yeah. So you could picture it. We were at the carry-on tig and all that, carrying, hitting each other with a ball. And I think that was only and I think that was the only touch I got. But as you can appreciate, in the dressing room, it was honestly. They turned round and they said to each and every one, "It's a very special game, and you deserved it because each and every one of you has worked hard, and then we know that you're capable. Let's make sure we entertain." And this is always his words: entertain. You have the ability, entertain. These people have spent good money to see you entertain, and it was the very same. It never changed anything in Lisbon. You know what I mean? And the big thing about it was he always made sure that when we were coming in touch with Inter Milan or any other teams, it was because we were a bit immaculate, the dress and everything like that. And what we would do, we'd tell each other funny stories and the laughter and everything. And it was very true. He actually knew how to unwind you and make sure that whenever the game with the referee blew the whistle, that was you. Change. You're now professional. Let's see you get on with it.
Bertie, it's Rob Maclean here. the level of achievement of what you guys did in Lisbon, it's just grown with each passing year, hasn't it? It's so special.
Oh, honestly, I must admit, I love going to games. I go to a lot of home games at Celtic Park, and I love when the support, and it doesn't matter the age group. It could be the granddaughter, the grandson, and the grandparent. And I love speaking to them, because I'll tell you this much: the best support in the world is without fear of contradiction, and they've proved it over the year. You know what I mean? And if you look at the crowds that we get to the park, it's second to none. And the great thing, as I said to you, the great thing about Mr. Stein was, and he was just you must remember, he was a miner and such like, and for somebody to change the way he did, all he would say is, he'd work with you all week and just went in to get your gear on, your top, your bottom, your socks and that. And he would say, as he was walking through the lot, he just talked to us, and he would say, entertain. These people have been working hard all week, entertain. And that was what he just wanted, entertainment. And it relieved you, you know what I mean? He didn't put any pressure on you. He says, you have the capability, get out and entertain.
And it's interesting to hear about his style of management. He wasn't one, was he, for shouting and screaming? He led by example. He expected you to know exactly what your job was.
Oh yes, but he could lose the plot a little bit. You know, sometimes, as you know, and the game's not changed any. There's some of them would actually think that they could bully you. I see it quite a lot, and I'll look for it. And I always say retaliate first.
Get your retaliation in early.
That's right. That's right. But you see, we had so many great entertainers. We had Johnson. God blimey. See now, you couldn't pay him. Bobby Murdoch, different entirely, different games, different players, but they had the tremendous ability, and the people that was in the terraces, in the stand, and the enclosure, they adored it. You know what I mean? And then we had the likes of Big Billy, who was honestly majestic in the air. Tommy Gemmell, we speak about goals being scored now from outside the box. He used to hit them, honestly, 20, 30 yards. And that's what we had, something of everything in our poor players.
How much do you remember of Lisbon, the detail of that day in Lisbon, Bertie?
Well, the big thing, and I promise you, was that Big Jock is the greatest one in the world for just getting you to be yourself. He never allowed you to lose the plot by shouting and singing and whatever. What he did, he started to speak about where the team we were going to play, our team, and also spoke about where set pieces, where throw-ins and such like. And all it was just to keep you at a right tempo, you know, And it was like that right up on the park. We went up the bus and we walked onto the park, and the Inter were there, and it was honestly, it was we were never too confident. He didn't allow that. He turned around and says, the people's paid a lot of money to come here. Let's give them value for money. Entertain. That was a word that he used all the time. Entertain. And that's all he looked for. He was a character like that himself. Even whenever the supporters came up to him and they asked him questions, he gave them the answers and such like, and then a wee bit of humour.
He was ahead of his time, wasn't he, in that respect? Because we hear a lot about entertainment in football now, about giving the fans that all that more. But even back then, that's the word that keeps coming up in what you're saying about him, Bertie, was get out there and entertain. The fans deserve it. Yeah,
and I promise you, at half time, don't get me wrong, he knew the game was still a game of touch, and you had to look after yourself, because you know and I know it doesn't matter what sport you're in, they want to bully you. And I used to say to the punters that knew my language, know the Inter Milan ones, because I couldn't speak Italian. And I says to the big guy going through the tunnel, hey, big one, how you want to play it? You went at 50-50 balls, you want to win them, or what's your score? It brings it in and know what I was speaking about. But what it was just keeping the place going, because my own supporters, 2 or 3 behind us and 2 or 3 in front of us, heard me speaking to them. And what it was a laughter. But it was something that we were very, very interested in and keen in, was to let them know this is just another game. So don't think that we're under any pressure, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a real talent.
Well, I promise you, when you think about it, Johnson and the Murdochs, honestly.
And the Olds.
I was too old. I mean, anyway, but as you can, Lennox, you know, and you had John Clark, Billy McNeil, you had everything. Tommy Gemmell scored more goals than any other fullback, and they weren't just tap-ins. They lifted everybody. And I'll tell you, the big and the most important thing about our team was the people in the terraces and the stands, was the supporters.
And he was such a big character, Jock Stein, that it was such a big loss when he died in Wales 35 years ago. Oh,
God. Oh, yeah, honestly, you never go over it. I promise you never go over it. And particular times like just now, when you're lying in bed, and I must admit, I look back and I look at Murdy, God rest him. I look at Tommy Gemmell, Jimmy Johnson, Billy.
Yeah.
Oh, and all these things come in, and it's very difficult to fall asleep immediately, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because they were part of you. They were a big part of you. And it was a big part of your life and your family, you know?
Yeah. Taking us up to date, Bertie, you know all about a 9 in a row Celtic team, and the current one is looking to make it 10. Are you optimistic that Celtic are going to do the 10?
No, don't do. What you're trying to do is give me a sore head. If I couldn't take to 10, I would have been still playing. You know, and I know, it doesn't matter what anyone says. Your next game, that was Big Jock. He believed that whatever it would come into his mind that we could actually do. He was a very confident person. And individually as well as collectively, he spoke to you. He just didn't speak to you in a team manner. He spoke to you in individuals about maybe Jinky overdoing it, particularly before a game. And then if he is overdoing it at half time, he's turning around and saying, we'll need to send on another ball. You know, because he's got the ball too long and he'll need to do us. So that was the type of man he was. And see that humour, I don't care who it is, see that humour, it gives everybody their lift. That humour. And Jock, I'll tell you, I wouldn't like, because what a left arm and hand he had. See, I used to be quicker than him, but I was smaller as well, so I could duck, you know what I mean?
A bit of ducking and diving.
Aye, that's right, aye. But no, I must admit that I don't think it was well before his time. And I was with him when I was in the reserves. Jock was the reserve team coach, and as you know, he left Celtic. But I think it was either Dunfermline or Hibs he went to. But I think it was Hibs first, and then he went to Dunfermline, I think, as manager.
Yeah,
and then he came to Celtic. And I promise you, it was everything. And see the players that I played in the reserve team, you've never seen anything. You were like kids coming out of primary school, jumping up in the air. The Big Jock's back, because he was well before his time.